All right, Pilot Alexander, here we are again.
Hello Karim, hi everyone. Very happy to see you after this summer break.
How was your vacation?
Absolutely fantastic.
That was wonderful.
Went
Did you
to
enjoy it?
Few places that were just amazing, and unfortunately not as many places as I wanted to, but still it was just great.
That's
وانت
awesome.
كيف راك؟ كيف دويت العطلة؟
الحمد لله بخير. كل شيء كل شيء يسوي عليك.
Talking to him in his language, you know, makes him feel good.
Such a politician. All right, I'm back. We're both back, and today, again, important topic: ETPs. What does it stand for? What is it in general? Why is it important? Please tell us about it.
Okay, that's again a very large topic, the ETPs, because it touches many subjects. ETP stands for Equitime Points. En français, c'est PET, donc le point équitant. Et it is in fact a point along your lateral flight plan at which you are at the same time either to continue to your destination or to go back to your departure airfield. It is not the middle, okay, because it varies in functions of the wind. So it can be further than the exact middle of your distance, or it can be before. It depends. It depends on the wind, in fact.
All right.
Of the speed of many factors.
Oh, I see. And
Yeah.
why is it important? I mean, why do we use it?
Look, the ETP itself is not as important as the ETPs you create, pilots create during your flight. So for me, a flight, let's say for example from Sydney to Doha, knowing my ETP, which is my distance, the same time to go back to Sydney or continue to Doha, is not as important as the ETPs that I will create between, for example, Sydney and Melbourne, Melbourne and Adelaide, Adelaide and Perth, then Perth, Jakarta, or Singapore, or Bali, in order to manage the worst case scenario if it happens.
You mean such as engine failure, the depressurization?
Absolutely, this is not the worst case scenario, by the way. So we've got many emergencies. I mean, many type of emergencies. So you can have a pan, you can have just a simple technical emergency, you can have a medical emergency, which will be a pan medical. You can have an emergency such as the one you have mentioned, for example, the engine failure, but it is not an emergency on 380 engine failure. It could be, or it could not. So you could continue simply without even declaring a Mayday, or you could declare a Mayday. Depend on the severity and the damage.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is very interesting, but that's very specific to the 380, as it is a four-engine aircraft. Since you are pilot students in Qatar Aeronautical College,
That's correct.
You fly Diamond, do you?
I do.
Yeah, well, I used to fly Diamond 40 and Diamond 42. Big up to Diamond, really love them.
Good aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely, great aircraft. And when you fly a Diamond, you need to be ahead of the game, right? Imagine when you fly a 380, you need to be way ahead of the game. So when we take off from Sydney, trust me, we are already in terms of planning, in Perth. So we know that our runways, our airports, where we can go, what we can do, our weather, just in order to be ahead. And we create ATPs passing these airports that we can land on in order to be ready in case of emergency, as we cannot land everywhere. You know.
Let me stop you right there, please. Why can't you guys land everywhere?
Look, we cannot land everywhere for many reasons. The first reason is that the Airbus A380 is limited by its dimensions, right?
Right.
Do you remember the wingspan?
About 80 meters, I guess?
Absolutely, yeah. The minute A380 episode 2, so I advise you to watch it. So 80 meters of wingspan, you cannot land everywhere. That's one. So that's the aircraft limitations, the aircraft dimensions, but you've got also the airport's limitations. So for example, the airport cannot handle the 380 because it doesn't have the ground equipment, it doesn't have the engineers that needs to be formed with a specific type rating of the 380. They don't have, for example, the RFF, rescue and firefighting services that suit, or the number suits the A380. And something that maybe not many people know is the ACN, PCN So the aircraft classification numbers, the pavement classification numbers, the runway load classification numbers. So those things, basically, not all the pavements of runways can carry the weight of the aircraft A380. Imagine you take off from somewhere with the maximum takeoff weight, 573 tons, and you have an emergency, you need to land, and you go to an airport, and you land on a runway that cannot carry your weight. So this would be the pavement classification numbers. Yeah. So look, I will go to the operation manual part C, and I will go to, let me show you that. So look, aerodrome briefing, we'll go to aerodrome authorized by area for the 380, and we'll go to Doha, Australia. And look at that. So this is Australia, and this is where we can land in Australia. So look, between Brisbane, or let's say Sydney, and Perth, you've got almost 4,000 kilometers. And you can land only in 5 airports. So you've got Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth. This is what you can do. So you've got 1 or 2 extra, which are emergency airports, such as Cocos, or you've got Alice Spring, but those are emergencies. So you cannot land everywhere. Therefore, you need to be always ahead of the game, always.
All right. Okay, I understand that, of course, like just you mentioned a bit earlier, that you created with the FMS. Could you please now show us the basic way of calculating the ETP?
Of course, like you said, we do not calculate the ETPs. We just tell the aircraft and it will do it. And I will show you after in the next maybe video, or at the end of this one if we have enough time.
That would be good, yeah.
Maybe next video. We will show you how we do exactly in the aircraft. So I would create an ETP between 2 airports, and then I will set a route in the secondary. I will get the weather, the NOTAMs, and everything. So now we're getting to theory. Do we?
Yes, let's get to it.
Okay, so theory. ETP in nautical miles is equal to the total distance between the 2 airports times the ground speed to the origin or to the departure divided by the ground speed to the origin plus the ground speed to the arrival. So this is how we get the ETP.
Okay. So should we do an example?
Okay, so I have filmed, we were flying between Sydney and Doha, and we were actually between, in Mumbai FIR, between Mumbai and Muscat. And I have set an ETP between those 2 airports to see up to which point I can go to Mumbai, and from which point I should continue to Muscat in case of emergency.
Great.
So we will take the data of this video, and we will try it, okay? So let's go. So we say ETP in nautical miles again is equal to the distance which we have calculated, which is 854 nautical miles between both airports, times the ground speed at to Mumbai, which we don't have. The aircraft is not giving it to us, but we can calculate it, and perhaps in another video I can show you how to. Anyway, we have obtained 460 knots divided by, okay, we'll do that, divided by ground speed to Mumbai, 460 knots, plus the ground speed to our destination, Muscat, our second airport, is on the ND, on the FMS, so 510. Okay. So this is 392.840 divided by 970. Of course, we have done the calculation before using the calculator, and we obtain 405 nautical miles. Okay, so we found 405 nautical miles, and we told you that ETP is
time related.
Absolutely, Karim. And to find the time is very easy.
Divide by ground speed.
Absolutely. So time is equal distance out of speed. So we just divide this by the speed that we have, and we obtain approximately 50 minutes. And so we've got 50 minutes between Mumbai and the ETP, and 50 minutes between the ETP and Muscat.